Hello everybody, my name's George Nahlis and I'm pleased to be interviewing Marcus Markou about his film Papadopoulos and Sons today. This is part one of a meeting with Marcus.
My name is Marcus Markou. I trained as a journalist, became a journalist, had been an actor briefly, had written plays, run my own business, and now I'm sort of making films. The idea had been buzzing in my head since I was a teenager. Like, how do I come to terms with my Greek identity? But it wasn't until I started writing the film script that all those ideas came together. But I planned it quite well, the story. So I spent 2-3 months planning the story, even scene by scene, planning the characters before I wrote any dialogue. So when it came to writing the dialogue, it was about 2 months. So it was about 6 months from start to finish, the script. The film was shot in 24 days, you're right. And it was incredibly intense. And it meant that we had to be very well organized. And I was very lucky in that our producer had been a line producer in TV, Sarah Butler. And she'd done The Bill, Holby City, various programs like that, which are always on a tight schedule in TV. So she was able to take those skills and apply them to the film. And effectively, what we did is we shot a feature film on a TV schedule. And that required a lot of planning, and therefore you couldn't drop scenes. You know, we had the London riots on the second day of filming, and we had to stop shooting. And because it was such a tight schedule, and obviously Enfield suffered greatly. We were shooting in Morden. If we had been shooting the film in Enfield, that would have been it. Game over, no film. Morden was fortunate enough not to be caught up in the riots, and I was checking the shop even at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was going back to the fish and chip shop that we'd created to make sure it hadn't been burnt down. But even then we lost half a day, and to make up the time, I had to drop a scene and take 2 other scenes and rewrite them. This was happening at 2 in the morning before we were shooting.
How do you feel people have embraced the film? Because I get the sense that the film is kind of taking on a life of its own.
It's been strange. There's been some reaction from Greeks who have not even seen the film yet, that there aren't enough Greeks in it. But there are. George Korofas is Greek, Jimmy Rousounis is in it, George Savidis is in it, I'm in it, Vangelis Christodoulou, Vasilis Panayi, who's the LGR DJ's got a part in it. And there's a lot of Greek music in this, and there's a lot of Greek spirit in it. But the truth is, if there were no Greeks in this film, it wouldn't matter, because it is a broad universal story, you know, and it's the spirit. You know, if someone asked me, what is the spirit of Greekness that I've tried to tap into in this film? And it's the same, it's the spirit that we embody when we break a plate. And it's that sense of acceptance and surrender to the circumstances that we find ourselves in, and finding joy in acceptance and surrender to the circumstances we find ourselves in. It's a kind of perverse logic, but that is the spirit that I, as an Anglo-Greek, someone that's grown up in Britain, someone that's gone to a British school, someone that's got British friends, that's embedded in British culture, what I see in the Greek culture that I admire with British eyes is that. It makes you smile. I think the types of films I love are the ones that reflect life. And life is generally bittersweet for me. I see it as a bittersweet experience. And so the films of, you know, Billy Wilder, for example, or even Woody Allen, they're kind of grounded in a bittersweet reality. And that's been my experience of life, you know, that, and I think it's the experience of most people, that to get through life, you do see the comedy or the absurdity of it all. And that's the style that I'm drawn to, obviously in making this film, but it's the style I'm drawn to in films like Little Miss Sunshine, you know, or East is East, you know, where I think the tone of this film is similar to the tone of Little Miss Sunshine or East is East. It's a kind of bittersweet family experience. But that's what I enjoy about life as well. So you're right, you know, it is, and maybe I think something the Greek Cypriots will resonate with, because for them, especially the Cypriots, we've had, even now as we talk, you know, unprecedented suggestion that 10% of all their savings is going to be taken just like that. They wouldn't try that with a bigger country. It's in our history to experience highs and lows. You know, I had to ask myself, because one of the themes of the film is, what is success? What is it? You know, especially now that the ideas of what success is have unraveled. You know, the materialistic world that seemed to carry us the last 20, 30, 40 years is unraveling. And that's one of the themes of the film. He loses his mansion, he has to go back to the chip shop, he has to start again. The question asked is, what is success? And I've tried to answer that in the film, you know. And for me, we are all doing it now. We, all of us in society, are reevaluating what success is. You know, and it isn't the nice car, and it isn't the house. We're not buying that anymore. We don't buy that as a barometer of success. You know, family is success. Joy, the happiness that you feel in living your life is success. And that is what I've tried to create in the film, that sense of that success being something other than the house, the car, the status. Because now, that doesn't count for anything anymore. There is no sex in the film, there is no violence, there's no one's killed, there's no blood. You know, it's in that respect, it's quite unusual. And when I took the film to the Palm Springs Film Festival, where it was a favourite film, the audience was quite senior, 50s, 60s, a lot of retirees. And, but they did ask the question. They said, you know, this is the first film we've seen at this festival that has no nudity. How did you manage that? But it is a universal family film, you know, and it's something families can relate to. We've all been in a family. We can all relate to family life. And in this situation, it's an extreme situation. They have to go from riches to rags. And it's how they cope and come together. And interestingly, the children cope better.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree with you.
And in real life scenarios where families face disruption, what we always neglect is that what we fail to take on board, often the children are somehow more adaptable to change than the adults. And it's the adults that become children, and the children almost become parents. And in this film, something similar happens. The children are more adaptable to change than the parents.
What is with the priest with shades?
I wrote a part for a priest, and he had some lines, but I cut the lines, and I just left him as a mysterious Greek Orthodox priest.
So we're never going to get the answer?
We know from the script, Father Jimmy, we know a few facts. We know that he was done previously for illegal copies of Rambo.
Is that right?
We know that he's has owned businesses.
Father Jimmy, thank you. Thank you, thank you,
But I thought, make him more interesting by not having him say any words. But he's there to help the family.